So one thing that I do know more about is the
Mm-hmm.
career path that I've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in order to pursue the line of work that I'm interested in, it requires me to have a degree. It doesn't necessarily matter if I'm going to pursue that degree specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I'm a psychology major, but I don't necessarily have to become a psychologist. I just need to have
Mm-hmm.
a bachelor's degree. Doesn't matter in what field.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, so really the reason why I picked this topic is that it's currently what I'm working towards, and by currently I mean I should be graduating by next month,
oh, okay.
and then my package to become a pilot is actually going to go up by December. So my deadlines are coming up and kind of running out of time.
Okay.
Yes.
So now it's kind of like a really busy time then.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm. Okay. So then you mentioned that you chose this because it's what you're currently working on now, but is there maybe any other reason you chose it, like personal feelings towards it, or?
Um, for choosing this topic in general,
Yeah.
yeah, mainly because this is what I've actually been working towards for the past 8, 9 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I began at Kapiolani Community College or at KCC, and yeah, I've been like I was in ROTC in 2009, got out in 2011, and I left UH in 2014. So it's been a very long time coming. I'm finally at the point now where my dream is coming to fruition. So it's a lot closer than I originally expected it to be. So this is really all that's been on my mind for the past year now. It's getting school done, getting my package together to get ready to submit it, testing so that my scores look better. It's a lot of effort has been going into this one package itself. So yeah, it's fairly important to me right now. Let's see.
Okay. Let's see.
It's better. There you go.
Okay.
Don't mind me. I'm
Mhm.
just having a beer.
That's fine. Okay, and then let's see. And then how did you, because I guess like we went over this in the wallet interview too, but like how did, I guess for this interview, like just to reiterate it, I guess, like how did you come to like think about going into this or choosing the Air
Why
Force?
why
Yeah.
this field in general?
Mm-hmm.
So I've wanted to be a pilot since I was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It initially started with me wanting to fly for the Navy because my dad was on aircraft carriers. I thought it was the coolest thing to fly a plane onto a boat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been a trial, like a childhood dream of mine, is to fly. My brother actually ended up becoming a navigator on heavier aircraft. It's a big 4 engine prop plane. It's a big cargo plane. And he was in the Air Force. He graduated in 2009 from the University of Hawaii. And at the time I was graduating from high school, and I was like, well, why not pursue that dream? Like I had originally planned on just enlisting straight out of high school. I was like, I can worry about school later. I'll just enlist, get my time in, get my GI Bill, go back to school, like go to like AFROTC or the academy. Just really depends on like where it was heading. And my dad convinced me to stay and go to college and everything. And I did terribly for the first year. And I've been trying to dig myself out of that hole since. And it never left. Like my dream of being in the military never left. Like regardless of whether I was going in as an officer or not, I was going to be in the Air Force, basically. My dad served for 23 years. My brother is in, and he's been in. So years producing it. That's been my life. Like for all 27 years of my life, I've been influenced by the military, and that's just the life that I've grown up to know and love, and here I am. So, I mean, if that's going to be the life that I'm a part of, then I might as well pursue the original plan, which was to fly.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. This question thing is like.
Yeah.
Right.
I know it's pretty. Yeah.
I guess. Are there any particular, I guess, like memories or things that you associate with like the Air Force? Like I know you mentioned your childhood dreams to fly, but is there anything particular that stands out, or?
The air shows. So when I used to live in Florida, I lived in Pensacola, Florida, which is where the performing fighter planes are from. They're called the Blue Angels. I know that they were in Hawaii before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're actually based out of Pensacola, Florida, which is where I lived for 3 years. So waking up and going to school every morning and hearing them practice overhead, it's that like pretty much solidified my dream of flying, because I had little toy planes, and like everyone, like all the kids that I knew had like toy cars and everything, and trains and trucks and all that. I had planes. I had planes and helicopters, and that's what I'd always play with. And then when we moved to Florida, not knowing that that's where they were based out of, it captivated me in that was when I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Like I had no idea how to go about getting there, but all I knew was that I wanted to do that. I wanted to do the barrel rolls. I wanted to do the flips and the tricks and fly upside down and go like 800 miles an hour. Like that was that was my dream. So that for me was probably the most memorable because it wasn't just them performing, it was also the other aircraft that were there, because the air show itself, like the Air Force has them, the Navy has them, the Army has them, Marines have them, like everyone has them. So they basically just show off all the aircraft they have, like old, new. Like we just recently had an air show at my base about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I want to say. And it was the same thing from what I remembered as a kid. Like there's a bunch of planes on exhibit, like old, new. We had planes and helicopters from Vietnam, the Korean War, World War II, and everything in between. And it was exciting to be a part of it rather than just watch it, because my job specifically, I load bombs on planes. So it was nice to be a part of it rather than just be the kid watching on the side, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, air shows specifically are probably the most memorable.
Mm.
So, yeah, in a bit. You can go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
That's what I was asking.
Okay.
Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm. So I was like, oh, I think of a question, and then I'm like, wait, no, I answered it already.
You're good. Take your time. That's fine. Like I said, I don't think we have a time limit. I don't think we have a time standard. Like we don't have to make it within a certain time or whatever. I think we just need to hit all of these questions.
Yeah. Mm.
Can you hear me typing? Is that annoying?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I figured I can try and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Are there any like routines or habits that you might like associate, I guess, with the Air Force that you notice that you have now, or?
There are a ton. There are numerous that they instill through basic training and everything. I used to be a banquet server at the JW Marriott until it closed down and became the Four Seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to work there, and it was a policy to make sure you shaved, make sure you had a haircut, and just be like have a presentable appearance. Yeah, I never really followed that policy. Yeah, I grow my hair out. Like my hair got down to like my chin, and I just like kind of slick it back. Yeah, it was bad. Like I almost never shave. So I just real lazy about it. It's the same thing like when I was back in college, I had like 7 a.m. classes that I'd never show up to. Like I signed up for them knowing I would have failed, because like there's no way in hell I'm driving from Kapolei to Manoa at like 5 o'clock in the morning to miss traffic. So I was like, yep, I'm gonna fail that one. So just that discipline to maintain standards, like something as simple as shaving my face every morning. Like that is a habit that was expected of us every morning at 5 a.m. for 8 weeks straight. Every morning you will shave. Morning you're gonna make your bed a certain way. Every morning you're gonna do this, this, this in this order. So that's basically all the military is based on, is discipline, is developing a habit and maintaining that habit. So like I don't know if you can see the difference with like Marines, how Marines don't have long shaggy hair. They all have high and tight haircuts, and it's all buzzed basically. And then you have people in the Air Force like me who have amazing comb overs, because why not? Because it's not a big policy with us. It's more maintaining a professional appearance than anything else, as opposed to being the cookie cutter Marine, you know? Like look like everyone else because you are like everyone else. So it's a very big difference in the sort of I can't think of, I have the word, but I can't think of the word. Different ideologies in how the Marines and how the Air Force presents itself. So like I was saying, there are a lot of habits that come out of this. Routines. I wake up 5:30 every morning, go to work for God knows how long. Sometimes I'll work 8 hours. Sometimes I'll get out before lunch. Sometimes I'll be there for 13, 14 hours. Just depends on what's going on that day. But regardless of how long I'm at work, regardless of how bad work gets, I'm expected to be there the following morning. Doesn't matter how I feel about it. Doesn't matter how much I hate it, how much I'm frustrated with it, or how tired I am. That it's perks of the job, I guess. You got to be there. Yeah, so a lot of sacrifice goes into it, especially like in my specific situation with my daughter or with school and work, and it's basically working 3 full-time jobs. you don't really have personal time, and when you do, it's like, well, what do I do with myself, you know? So that's where the routine comes in. That's where you deal with, okay, well, even though I have an hour of free time, do I sit on the couch, do nothing, drink a beer, watch TV, or do I prepare for tomorrow? You know, do I get everything ready for tomorrow so that come 5 a.m. tomorrow, I'm not running around the house like, oh shit, why didn't I do this beforehand? You know, it's taking a shower, getting her to bed, doing whatever schoolwork I have left. It's been, especially in the past like 6 months, this is all it's been. Wake up, go to work, come home, do homework, make dinner, eat dinner, give her a bath, put her to bed, do a little more homework, go to bed, wake up, do the exact same thing over again. That's every day. Every day. Yeah. So that, and also at the beginning of the year I was deployed, so it was a little worse at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I mean, in essence, that's all this life is. It's a routine. It's finding that balance.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I tried writing. We're giving up on writing.
Sorry.
No,
I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
it's fine. It's fine. It makes this easier, if anything. Hmm. Let's see. So earlier on in that question, I guess like you mentioned like an 8-week training. So could you tell me a little bit more about that?
So, BMT, or basic military training,
Mm-hmm.
It's, how do I put this? The simplest way to put it is it's basically a crash course in how to become part of the Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
like how to be an airman, basically. So you're gonna stand a certain way, you're gonna sit a certain way, you're gonna carry yourself a certain way, you're gonna think a certain way. It's indoctrination. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So that's all it is. It's an indoctrination into an organization, just like a fraternity, just like being a college student, just like if you ever been like part of a club in high school. Like that's all it is that these expectations are put forth, and this is what you will do in order to maintain membership in this organization. It's the same thing with, say, like people who work at Google, people who work at any other big corporation. These are our expectations. This is how we carry ourselves as a company. This is the view we have on certain subjects, and depending on you, this is whether or not you're going to follow that guideline, basically. So for 8 weeks, they teach you like the history of the Air Force. They teach you like leadership styles, just like problem solving, like management and all this, and like basically they try to, the way that I best understood it was that they tear you down to your core in order to rebuild you into the airman they want. So they change the way you think, they change the way you talk, they change the way you view life. Now, does that necessarily mean it's a negative thing? No, not really. Like if you think about it, like something as small as like paying attention to the minute details, like having attending to details such as like folding clothes, folding your shirts in a certain way. It's paying attention to the little things in order to prevent them from becoming big problems. If that makes sense. Like I never thought about it that way until like I got out of BMC, and I was like, why the fuck were we folding shirts and rolling socks and making sure that they were the tightest as you could make them and all this, that, and the other? Is it because they expected you to pay attention to detail? They expected you to excel in whatever it is you were doing. It doesn't matter if it was folding a sock. It doesn't matter if it was making your bed. or something as big as building a plane, loading a bomb, flying a plane. Like, you still have to pay attention to those details. Like, if you can't make your bed, how can we trust you to load a bomb? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it may seem minuscule, it may seem petty, but that was the type of mentality they attempted to instill in people, is that we want you to pay attention to the little things so that you can pursue bigger, bigger responsibilities. So there's that. There's a physical aspect involved. The laptop's dying. There's a physical aspect involved. Like, we would have physical training every morning or every other morning. It just depends on the weather. So we work out, like go for runs, do calisthenics, whatever it may have been that morning. There's a lot of heritage that goes on in the military. So like certain events, certain ceremonies. There's this thing called pass and review, basically where the commander or the head individual at that base, he'll sit there and watch all of his troops on that base march. Just like I was saying, everything comes back to the attention to detail. Are you standing far enough away from that individual? Are you aligned with everyone else? Are you in step with everyone else? Are your facing movements as crisp as everyone else's? So basically, they teach you to do your part in the grand scheme of things. Because you play a role, and without you, it affects everyone else. Like, if everyone faces left and you face right, guess who's going to stick out, you know? So that's, in essence, all that BMT is that they teach you the basics, as the name implies. It's basic military training. This is how you act as a military member. Yep.
I think I might have like one or two more questions.
Yeah. Take your time.
Yeah. After these like two, I think then it'll be okay to switch. Okay. So I guess like when you're at work or even through the basic training, was there anything in particular that might have like occupied your thoughts, kind of like maybe a motivation or just anything in particular you were thinking about?
So there was a big shift. I had initially gone into the Air Force with a contract as becoming a TACP, which is a Tactical Air Control Party member. So you are the individual that acts as the liaison between the Army and the Air Force to call in airstrikes. So it's an Air Force member that deploys with the Army in order to utilize Air Force assets for the Army. So say that there is a ground party getting attacked. The attack P would call over the radio like, hey, so-and-so, this is whoever. I need air support in this location. And that's when they send aircraft in and they fly over and get the bad guys. So that was the job that I had initially gone into the Air Force with. I was at that training schoolhouse for 5 months and washed out. So I failed to meet the criteria for the course itself. And when that happens, they reclass you into a different job. So when I left, or when I got out of that school, they're like, hey, this is going to be your new job. You kind of, you give them a dream sheet. But it's like a 1 in like 1,000 that you actually get something off your dream sheet. They pretty much give you whatever they feel like. That's why the military is a solely volunteer force, which means that you signed up for it regardless of whether it's the job you wanted or not. You are going to do what they ask of you. You are now government property. So it's real fucked up if you think about it that way, but that's exactly what we are, is that we are military assets. We belong to whatever branch of service. That is how it's going to be. If they want you to scrub toilets all day long, guess what? You're going to be a janitor, but you're going to get paid for it. So initially going into the Air Force, I had every ounce of motivation dedicated to being a tech P. Everything I did. I was training for about 2 years before joining, and that was all I thought about. That was all I wanted. That was all I ever worked for. And then I washed out, and I was like, screw this. I don't want to be in the Air Force anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this. This is dumb. Fuck this. I'm out. And lost all motivation to do whatever it was. And then they reclassed me. I was like, well, if I do bad, I can't. Like, I can't live with myself. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'll try. So I ended up getting classed into weapons. So basically, like I was saying earlier, it's me loading bombs on planes. And I actually tried. I put the effort that I was using for the Type P schoolhouse into the new school that I was going to. And yeah, I ended up finishing like top of my class with like a 98%. And it was more out of anger than actually wanting to do the job. Like, no, screw this. I'm going to prove to these motherfuckers that I can kill it regardless of what I'm doing. And game of fuck the Air Force. I'm going to do the best that I can and get what I want out of it. Like, it was selfish, but it was on my terms, basically. Yeah, and then I got my first duty assignment, and I moved, and I got to that base, and I'm here right now. And the first year of being here, I won 3 of like the biggest awards that you could for my job specifically. I was like, oh, well, okay then. Well, shit, okay. Yeah, I had no idea that I was going to win those. Apparently everyone else knew, but yeah. I was like, why would you guys pick me over that person? Like, I hate this place. I hate this job. I hate what I'm doing right now. I hate the fact that I'm not doing what I want to do in the Air Force. Like, this is dumb. Screw this. Why would you guys give me that award? Because you put in the effort. Like, even though this isn't where you wanted to be, you still did the job and you did it the best. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever, fuck it. So the big shift was, I'm going to contribute to the Air Force, to screw this, I don't want to do this, to, okay, I can't look like a complete shitbag. And now it's all for my daughter. Like, everything is for her. If I commission, that'd be great. I'd make about 4 times as much as I'm making now, which would be awesome. But at the same time, it's not so much about the money more than it is about doing something worthwhile. Like, there are jobs in the Air Force where people are cooks. People are literally cleaning the gym. Like, your job in the Air Force is to clean the gym, and you get paid as much as I do, and I'm over here handling live bombs. Like, I don't feel like that's fair.
No.
But that's just how it is. You know, we're the same rank. We've been in the same amount of time. That's the only way you can do that, you know? So, yeah, it just, now I'm not here for me. Nothing is for me when it comes to my career. Like, I mean, yes, I'm going to pursue being a pilot. That's still for me. But say I don't get accepted into the pilot program because I'm getting old, I'm still going to try to be an officer because I'd make money. I'd make more money, which I could use to support her. Like, life isn't all about money, but at the same time, it's, if you can afford a better school, why not? You can afford a better life, why not? You know? Like, there's, like everything else in life, there's a balance. And that's where the balance is. It's having a family, raising that family, and being able to support them. So if you asked me about 6 years ago, 21-year-old me would have been like, nah. I'm going to do whatever I want. But like I said, things change, life changes. There have been a lot of changes in the past 2 years. So, yeah. As it stands right now, yes, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. Trust me, I would rather have more than 3 hours of sleep a night. That would be great. But that's all I get sometimes. Yeah. So, yep.
I think that's pretty good for me.
Cool. Hell yeah. All right. You want to take a break for a second?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, it is so hot here.
Where are you at?
I'm still in Hawaii, but when there's no AC or anything. Nothing.
Yeah. See,
no fan.
I don't miss that at all. Like, everywhere there is like, oh yeah, we can just open a window, turn the fan on. I'm like, no. I like ACs.
You know, all I have is this fan that half works. Oh god.
Yeah, but would you rather be in like, what's the temperature over there now? Like 90-ish, 80?
Around there.
Yeah, but the humidity is like crazy, or sitting in like 107, 112 degrees of just straight dry heat.
Oh,
Yeah.
neither of those. Oh god. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh boy. Are you taking any other classes?
Yeah, I'm taking a Hawaiian. It's for like a HAP credit course.
Oh, like
Writing
Hawaii studies or
intensive.
something?
Yeah, like an upper level writing intensive, but yeah, it's easy enough. Like, I'm lucky that like I have how many years of like living here. Then I'm like, oh, I'll just kind of like BS some answers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Like, oh yeah, I had a kumu back in high school.
Oh my god,
You didn't know that person.
yeah.
I miss Hawaii. I should be back there next month, so that'll be fun. Yeah, get 2 weeks off, dude. And it's like right as the semester ends too, so I was like, I don't have to deal with school while I'm there. I dig it.
The only problem is it's getting hotter.
Oh, don't say that.
It's just getting worse.
Don't say that. Because, like, I looked up the weather like the other week, and it was like, hey, we're sitting at like 70, 80 degrees. I was like, bro, that's shorts and a t-shirt. I dig that.
What is it right now? Oh, it's like 81 right now.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, what is it here? Let's see. Where I live, we're still sitting at 96.
Oof.
And it is 7:30 at night.
Oof.
Yeah, that's fun. What up? Attitudes, perceptions, impressions, associations, interpretations. I feel like all of these questions that I'm writing are the exact same thing, worded differently.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll just find different ways to answer the same question, 3 different answers.
Oh, yeah. All right, that's fine. Let's get a view. All right. Cool. How are you feeling? Good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ready to start?
Yep.
Sweet. All right. So, I know we talked about you studying abroad and you still working on your degree out there.
Mm-hmm.
Where exactly was it that you were planning on studying?
So I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago, but it's confirmed now finally. But I'm gonna be studying at Kyoto University, so
Oh, shit. That's dope.
so more like in southern-ish
Mm-hmm.
of the main island. But I chose this one in particular mainly because there are some science classes as well that'll transfer back to UH.
Mm-hmm.
And for my major is in biochemistry, and UH doesn't actually let you take any biochem classes until you're a junior.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, until that point, I'm still taking only like bio classes, chemistry classes that everyone else is taking.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm abroad, I can take an introductory course kind of into biochem.
Okay.
So that was interesting. And then also a lot of like culture classes. So I was debating adding a second major. Just I don't really know why. This was never really well thought out, but I was thinking of possibly adding Japanese, and if I do, then it'll be even easier to get courses there.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just something I thought like, I mean, if I'm gonna go to Japan, why not just add a second major? Like,
Yeah.
who knows why?
Okay.
But,
Interesting. I actually lived in Japan for 9 years. Huh. Yeah, my dad being in the Navy, I was out there for quite a bit of time. Especially most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. So with that, what exactly drew you to Kyoto specifically? Like, why there, not some other university throughout Japan? Why not like Okinawa, or why not like somewhere up north?
I think the first reason I kind of chose it was like UH has this mixed program, the Manoa International Exchange or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for there, you can kind of, you can select like universities first by like your major, then by country.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, for me, it would be weird if I went to like a super liberal arts college in Japan and I couldn't do anything. So when I was like, oh, I'm a science major, I want to take science classes, it gave me Kyoto University. And I wasn't really sure because I have a friend who's studying there, but she's in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about going more north, but Kyoto University is actually one of the top schools in Japan for science.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a really good reputation for like research, all that kind of stuff. And then I also found out that I had family living there still.
Oh shit.
So like, it's like my grandmother's first cousin or something, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still related to her
Mm-hmm.
somehow. And I was talking to her recently, and I've met her once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would kind of be able to I wouldn't stay with them because I don't want to impose on them for an entire year after not really knowing them, but I guess it's more of like the knowledge that you're not like completely alone in some like place you've been like once or twice. Like, just knowing that they're there, I guess,
Mhm.
was also
Okay.
great.
So leading into my next question, which was what connection you have specifically with that culture that actually ties into that. So you're of Japanese descent?
So
Like
Texas, yeah.
what regions and whatnot? Like how did that come to be? Like why is it that your cousins and whatnot are still there and you're in Hawaii? You know?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% like set on the story, but so I'm a fifth generation Japanese. So my grandmother on my mom's side, her grandmother and grandfather came here. So they were originally from Hiroshima.
Okay.
And so I think they were the kind of like the only two, I think, that came from Hiroshima to Hawaii.
Okay.
And I think like for them, they said that, or they're like my grandmother and my granddad were kind of told that like they kind of came here looking for something better. And then like the rest of the family just stayed in Hiroshima. And then from there, they kind of spread out to different places in Japan.
Yeah.
So like I guess my auntie who's living in Japan now, she moved to Kyoto. So she grew up in Hiroshima. It's like this really small town, like 4 hours out of the city. Apparently it's known throughout Japan for its sake, like of all things. And she came from this like small town where how do like they kind of had like 1 or 2 schools. There's 1 train that comes through the town every day. And so when she went to work, she moved to Kyoto, which is closer by. And kind of like she met her husband there, so that's why she ended up moving. But like our families never lost contact, I guess, even though some were living in Hawaii, some were living in Japan, and from like my grandmother and my grandaunt, they both were kind of raised very Japanese because of like their family. And so even like when my auntie would take care of me, it was that very like Japanese kind of mentality. And like even the whole stereotypical, like we're gonna dress you up in like Japanese kimono and take a picture of you when you're 7, like just every little like thing that happened to them, I guess they're just continuing on. So and then when I was in middle school, I was like, so I had to choose a language to take. And because I grew up speaking Hawaiian, they were like, no, you can't take that. That's an easy A. So then I ended up taking Japanese, and that kind of just like furthered this kind of like focus on Japanese, I guess.
Oh shit. You kind of defeats the purpose of having different questions if you answer everything in one shot.
Oh yeah. That's why I felt. I was like, okay, I'm done. A few more.
So you took Japanese in high school, correct? So is it safe to assume that you feel a fairly strong connection with your culture itself. Like, even though you are living in Hawaii, and not only in Hawaii but in America, like it's strange in that whole like local Hawaiian culture and the culture of the rest of the United States are very different. You're still a part of both of those, as opposed to being strictly Japanese. Like, how does it feel to be part of both sides? Because, like me, I'm like first generation Filipino in Hawaii from my family, So I understand the cultural side of being Filipino, but also how, like, I understand what it means to be an American. Not so much being a part of Hawaii, just because I didn't live there for very long.
Yeah.
But how does it feel? How does it affect your perspective on just daily habits? And how does that affect you and like your personality on a normal basis?
Like, I think like Hawaii culture, I guess, is like this weird this like blend of kind of like everything. Like, you have Japanese, you have Hawaiian, you have like whatever else is coming, like that. It's not so weird, I guess. Like, even one of my best friends now, she's like grew up in Kailua, like super white and whatnot, but like I was telling her like, oh, kind of stuff like I did, or things that I guess like my auntie would do to me, do with me, kind of thinking like, oh, it's this like weird Japanese experience. And she was like, no, I did the same thing. Like, you're not special.
Nice.
So then it's kind of like makes me realize, I guess, like how integrated everything is. But at the same time, there's like, I don't know, like, so Hawaii has like bon dances and stuff. Have you gone to those? You know, like the.
No.
It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like food, dancing, and but it's ultimately like for like your ancestors or something. So like that's like where when they have like the lantern ceremony and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like all that stuff. Like, I guess that used to be big in Japan, but it's not as big anymore. Now it's more of a Hawaii thing. So even that kind of stuff. And I guess like when I think I know one of the big habits, I don't even think it's just like Asians or just Hawaii, is like the whole like shoes in the house thing. As that's been pointed out as like, oh, it's super Asian, like take your shoes off before you enter. But at the same time, I think that's something a lot of like local people do, so you can't. I think living here, it's hard to kind of define what's strictly like Japanese culture versus like just Hawaii versus just US.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So with that, how did that contribute to not just you deciding to study abroad, but also what contributed to you specifically choosing that major in biochem? Like, it's a running joke with like, oh yeah, you have to do something in order to bring honor to your family and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Or like same thing with like Filipinos. Like every Filipino chick is a nurse for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So what drew you to being a biochem major as opposed to, say, engineering?
Mm-hmm. I think when I was in high school, I ended up taking like AP Bio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess like my whole reason for doing biochem is I did well in that one class, and I was like, let's see how I do for 4 years. But it wasn't a very well thought out plan. But like, I would have people ask me, why did you choose biochem? And I was like, I don't really know. But like for me, both of my parents went to law school. They're super into like, ironically, they're both very like creative people, more into like the arts than sciences than anything. So for me to go into science, and even actually my older sister went into science, it's kind of like a joke in our family that being surrounded by so much art pushed us both into science careers. But I guess like for me, like I think going to study abroad and then my major were two completely separate plans I made. Like when I was in high school, I thought to myself, like, it would be really nice to study in Japan for a year. Like, I don't know why or when I thought this, but I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And so from that point on, I was just studying Japanese more seriously than I had been before. And so I kind of thought to myself, like, no matter what your major is, you're just going to find a way to get there, be there for a year, and then, like, after that, just throw yourself into whatever you're going to do. So I think that kind of studying abroad was one of my kind of goals or dreams that I had. And when I realized I could also continue studying biochem while I was there, it's kind of like just a 2-for-1. Like, okay,
it's a win-win.
Like a win-win. Like I can.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So I know you talked about speaking Japanese and everything, and I know before how you were talking about saving to go and having money to spend there and being able to support yourself and whatnot. What else have you actually been doing in order to prepare yourself to go? Like, you have like transportation set up, you have living areas set up, like do you have basically a life established before you go, or are you just trying to go and see what happens kind of thing? Like, what have you done so far to prepare for this?
I guess one of the first things I started doing was I established a much stronger connection with my family that I have living there than I had before. So before, I think like at New Year's or Christmas, we'd just be like, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, like, how have you been? But because of this, it's been more like frequently talking. And then it's also some practice because she and her family there speak absolutely no English whatsoever. So then if I'm talking to her, then it's all purely like writing based. Or like for me, where I work at this like tea place at Alamoana. We get a lot of like Japanese customers. So I think before this was finalized, I kind of didn't feel like just whipping out Japanese every time I saw a Japanese person. Because I was like, oh, they're here. They probably want to practice, but
Yeah.
I guess more so I've been trying. It's like not only just, you know, ask the basic questions like, oh, what did you want to get? This is how much your total is, but past that, I guess like having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And then I guess one of the other problems is that while I'm away, like my mother is going to be moving. So in addition to kind of like trying to figure out what I need for the year I'm away and packing stuff up for that. And I'm also packing up the stuff I have in my room.
Yeah.
So that when it's time to move, it's just boxes.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of what I've been doing more than, I guess, working a lot more than I used to, it's just studying a lot more as well. So in addition to like summer school, just like, because there's a lot of like online resources, like old textbooks I might have, just like trying to kind of like get in practicing, but at the same time kind of like looking online, just what kind of like everyday videos there are, I guess.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, a lot of the exchange students who went to the university I'm going to go to were super into like vlogging their experience. So luckily for me, I can see like, oh, this is what their dorms look like. And the university is really, I guess, kind enough that they sent along like all these PDFs that are like, oh, if you choose this dorm, this is the area you live in. If you choose that dorm, these are all the stores, all the eateries, all the whatever that you have close to you. I think the main dorm that I'm kind of like gunning for is the rent is higher, but you don't have to, you're in walking distance of like your campus, of a lot of like stores, food, versus the other ones are either 20 minutes away or hour and a half away.
So like it's a little more convenient, but at the same time,
it's more expensive, but
in the long run, it'll save you the pain and heartache, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Less worrying about like transport, and I can.
Well, that's cool. Probably should have looked into that one. I was in college, but no, I decided to not go to school at all. Awesome. Yep. Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. You brought up the fact that you think contacting your family significantly more often. How do you feel that affects not just you, but your family's relationship to the family that's still in Japan? Because like, even though your mom isn't the one going, now you're opening that window of communication to your family back in Japan. So how do you feel that would affect your mom? How do you think that would affect everyone else in your family with you communicating more often with them?
So I guess like the main, I guess, the best thing about it, I guess, I don't know how to put this, is that because either my mom or my auntie, like both of them, they don't really speak Japanese very fluently. Like my auntie, her style of Japanese, I guess, is kind of comparable to like say like sugar plantations that it's like how they spoke on Japanese on plantations. So it's older. A lot of words they use they don't use now. Kind of very formal, and it's very limited to like specific topics. So like she also can't read Japanese. It's only speaking. So for me, like whenever she has something she wants to say, then I can write it out and send it. Or if they call each other, then she kind of goes on broken Japanese and they'll talk, but it kind of helps to be there to like smooth things over. Like, oh, one of them says something, I'm like, oh, she kind of was trying to say this. But for my mother, who speaks absolutely no Japanese at all, she kind of never felt like she wanted to or needed to. So it helps kind of keeping her in the loop of things. And then recently in Kyoto and like Hiroshima, they got super heavy rain. So Kyoto was flooding, Hiroshima was flooding. And like a couple people in Hiroshima died. And then in Kyoto, there's some people who like couldn't leave their house because they're just flooded. And so especially in that kind of situation, it was easy for me to be like, hey, are you okay? How's everything going? And to be able to connect everything. But I think for the most part, it's just like I personally didn't know that I had a relatives living there for over 15 years. So I guess now I'm like, what the fuck was I doing for like all those years and trying to catch up on everything? Like, because I know their son. I don't know why I didn't connect. Like, oh, he has parents who are not living here. Like, oh,
like, why do I know this guy, but
I don't know your family.
Okay. That's awesome. Interesting. I'm pretty sure that's way more than enough that I need. Yeah, so I mean, okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to this, or any other information that you might have been missing from like your topics?
Not really. I think that was pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
Good luck to both of us.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Crossing my fingers that when I do hang up and try to upload this, it doesn't do what it did last time. That would be awesome if it didn't. But yeah, I'll work on it. I'll get it uploaded and everything. And I'll shoot you the link for it.
Honestly, at this point, if it compresses into a 3-minute video, like
I'm just like, I'm good. Just fuck it.
We tried twice.
Yep.
We did our best. This is like, look, here, this paper is the proof that we had a conversation for that long. Just fuck it, take it.
Like, I have the outline of like the questions and everything I did, and we have somewhat a video of this, and I'm like, all right, if you're gonna fail me, dude. I'm not tech savvy enough to troubleshoot and get in contact. Not doing that.
I asked one other person, do you have problems? And she was like, yep. And I was like, okay.
Sweet. Oh yeah, it's like I was talking to him about it, how this whole program is still screwy. Like, they're still trying to work out the bugs on it. I'm just like, this is great. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me get this uploaded and everything. I'll shoot you a message within the next like 10-15 minutes, depending on how long it takes to upload.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know what's going on. All right.
All right.
Cool. Thanks for finding time. Finally.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about just everything that's going on. It's been pretty bad on this side. Like my daughter's been sick. School's been hectic. And work's been busy. So I literally have like an hour a day basically to do this.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
So, all right. I appreciate it. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All righty. Take it easy.
Okay. Use it.